When World War II stories get the Hollywood treatment, writers tend to lose facts and exaggerate certain aspects of the story. In the case of the 2014 film Fury, the writers didn't go nearly far enough. Brad Pitt's character, the tank commander nicknamed War Daddy, was a real World War II tank commander. The crew and their M4A1 Sherman tank wreaked havoc on the Germans across France. This is the real story about the courageous men and incredible tanks behind the movie Fury. Tank ace is a term used to describe tankers who enjoy great success against enemy armored vehicles. For aviators, an ace is someone who downs 5 enemy planes in aerial combat. No set number exists for tank aces. It is more a matter of destroying many more enemy vehicles than are shot out from under them. Also, tank aces work as part of a crew, with the title usually going to the vehicle commander, though they all share in the achievement. For World War II, many think most often of Panzer aces. While many German tankers did attain impressive numbers of enemy tanks knocked out, there were also a number of tank aces on the Allied side during World War II, and Lafayette Poole was among the best. Staff Sergeant Lafayette G. Poole was typical of some of the fine tankers produced by the U.S. Army during World War II. Lafayette G. Poole was born on July 23, 1919, on a farm in Odem, Texas. He graduated from high school in Taft, Texas in 1938. He attended an all-boys Catholic academy where he graduated as class valedictorian. Afterwards, he enrolled in Texas A&I College as an engineering major. He left college to enlist in the Army on June 13, 1941. The 3rd Armored Division landed in Normandy on June 24, 1944, with years of training but no combat experience. Over the next 11 months, the division would be part of the fiercest fighting in Europe during World War II. One of those tanks, dubbed In the Mood, would take down 12 enemy tanks, 258 armored vehicles and self-propelled guns, and 1,000 German soldiers in only 79 days. They would also capture 250 German prisoners in the fighting and kill as many as 1,000 more. In the Mood was the inspiration for the tank named Fury. It was an M4A1 Sherman commanded by Staff Sergeant Lafayette Poole. For his crew, he had Corporal Wilbert Richards as a driver, PFC Bert Close at bow gunner and assistant driver. The gunner was Corporal Willis Euler, and at loader, he had Technician 5th grade Del Boggs. Poole considered Richards one of the best tank drivers in Europe, and always called him Baby when issuing driving instructions over the tank's intercom. Richards was only 5 feet 4 inches tall, but Poole bragged that Baby could parallel park that big Sherman in downtown New York in rush hour traffic. Bert was called Schoolboy since he was just 17 years old, still with peach fuzz on his gentle face. Del was known as Jailbird since he was given the choice of the army or prison after a manslaughter charge. Euler was known as Groundhog because of the stains on his face from constantly wearing tanker's goggles. Poole stated Euler could shoot the eyebrows off a gnat at 1,500 yards. According to his own account, Poole was called War Daddy, a name later used for Brad Pitt's character in the feature film Fury. In Fury, the tank crew and War Daddy had been a crew together since landing in North Africa for Operation Torch in 1942. The real-life War Daddy and his crew were well-trained before coming ashore to free occupied Europe from the Nazi jackboot. But the only thing they had going against them was that they had no actual combat experience. That was about to change and fast, much to Germany's chagrin. In the Mood and its crew of 3rd AD soldiers got their first taste of combat 5 days after arriving in France. At Villiers-Fossard, the division was ordered to engage Germans near Saint-Lô to give 11 Corps time to reassert its lines after the Germans hit its right flank with an armored attack of its own. Villiers-Fossard was a trial by fire for the 3rd Armored Division, which performed better than anyone expected. As for the crew of In the Mood, they completely wrecked any Nazi German tank that came across their path. The tank under War Daddy's command killed 70 enemy soldiers and 3 armored vehicles. The tanks of Fury were definitely a force to be reckoned with. What wasn't depicted in the movie Fury was the fact that enemy panzers actually destroyed their tank during this first battle. They actually went through 3 tanks as they fought their way across the continent, whereas the fictional tank was destroyed only once during the movie. The first lasted from 23rd of June until 29th of June, when Poole's M4A1 was hit by a Panzerfaust, causing him and his crew to bail out of the stricken tank. The second tank was destroyed by friendly fire after being strafed by a friendly P-38 Lightning fighter bomber on August 17, 1944, but not before striking the enemy hard. War Daddy hated the Germans and believed he could take anything. His tank was known for killing 16 armored vehicles in a single day. Once they remounted a new Sherman, newly christened as Another in the Mood, they continued on. As they drove on, the division encountered enemy tanks from the German 2nd Panzer Division. This engagement came as a total surprise, and the Americans were on the defensive. At close range, the two sides exchanged shells, but In the Mood emerged victorious, killing 2 more armored vehicles, 2 panzers, and many German soldiers. After France, the 3rd Armored entered Belgium, where more fighting awaited. At Namur, a small city on the Meuse River, Poole and his men destroyed 16 enemy vehicles in one day, including half-tracks, assault guns, and several self-propelled anti-tank guns. Afterward, the advance continued eastward toward the German border, approaching the city of Aachen. Poole was often in the lead, confident and alert, sitting atop In the Mood. He rarely buttoned up inside his tank. Poole was actually claustrophobic and preferred to either sit on top of the tank or stick out of the commander's hatch. Most good tank commanders preferred to do this, as it provided much better visibility despite the greater risk from enemy fire. Baby Richards also preferred to drive with his hatch open. Eventually, Poole's luck ran out. On September 9, 1944, as the 3rd Armored Division tried to cross into Germany, it was struck by a round from an enemy panzer. War Daddy and the crew attempted to maneuver the tank out of harm's way, but were hit by another round and flung into a ditch. War Daddy was thrown out of the tank through the commander's hatch and was wounded by shrapnel. The rest of the crew bailed out safely, but Euler had also been wounded. Unlike his movie counterpart in Fury, the real-life War Daddy survived the war. His leg was crushed when he was thrown from the Sherman tank and would have to be amputated. He was sent home, rehabilitated, and rejoined the army later. Now you know the real story behind the tanks of Fury and the men behind the Hollywood film.